Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for another Sunday Night Vinyl here on Hippie Radio 94.5. I am your witness, and in just a few minutes, we're going to reveal our guest DJ, and then she's going to reveal the record we're going to spin for you. But before we do, we want to send it over to our good friends and the sponsors of this show, Hi-Fi Buys. If you are into vinyl, if you are looking for a turntable or cleaning supplies or a new needle or any of the stuff that goes around putting a hi-fi system together for your home, your car, your boat, whatever you've got, your RV, getting ready for Bonnaroo, these guys can totally hook you up. They've been in town for over 40 years. They're located just south of the zoo on Nolensville Road, and they will take very good care of you. And we appreciate them for sponsoring the show. Another thing I'll tell you is that if you want to be a guest DJ on Sunday Night Vinyl, there's two ways you can do it. You can go by Hi-Fi Buys and see the guys over there, and while you're there, all you got to do is fill it out, your name, what record you'd like to do, and drop it into the box. Or you can go online at Hippie Radio 94.5 or hippieradio945.com, and there's a form that you fill out online. So either way. So here's a little story from the folks over at Hi-Fi Buys, and then we'll be right back. And you are listening to Sunday Night Vinyl here on Hippie Radio 94.5. And we're back in the studio at Hippie Radio 94.5, and it is time to meet our guest. I met her at the Mighty B-Side Salon over in East Nashville, and we had a quick conversation about the radio business, and she said that she would love to come on Sunday Night Vinyl, and so she made the proper moves to get her information and her record to us, and we're happy to have her here. She's a transplant to Nashville. She's relatively new in the area. And we're excited to have her. Her name is Molly Weinberg. Hello, Molly. How are you?
Hey, Whit. I'm great. Thanks so much for having me on the show. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, thanks for coming on. So let's not suspend the audience any further. Tell them what record we're going to do tonight.
So today we're going to do some Simon and Garfunkel, one of my personal favorites. This record is Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme. It's one of my favorite records, and it's a very wintry record, so I felt that it was appropriate. Awesome.
This is the third studio album by the American music duo Simon and Garfunkel. It was produced by Bob Johnston, and the album was released October 10th of 1966 in the U.S. by Columbia Records. Following the success of their debut single, The Sound of Silence, Simon & Garfunkel regrouped after a time apart while Columbia issued their second album, a rushed collection titled Sounds of Silence. For the third album, the duo spent 9 months in the studio, for the first time extending a perfectionist nature, both in terms of instrumentation and production. You think that's about right?
Yeah, that sounds great. I would really add to that whoever's listening right now, I hope that you really dig the harmonies and the peacefulness of this record, because for me, it's perfect for when you're driving in your car or you're just at home and you can just take in those beautiful, beautiful melodies and harmonies that the duo was so wonderful doing. So I'm excited to play it for you today.
Well, the press loved it when it came out. They were darlings of the media and spoke very highly of the time and the effort that they put to put this thing together. Molly, I'm curious, you weren't born prior to this record being released. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Just making a wild guess there.
Yes.
Tell me how this music came to you. How is it that you know about this?
Well, I grew up listening to, all the classic music from the 60s and 70s. That's why I feel right at home here at Hippie Radio. I grew up on bands like the Grateful Dead and Bob Dylan and the Stones. And, I heard Scarborough Fair when I was real young, and I heard some of these songs on this record. And then as I got older, I heard, different songs. But it wasn't really until maybe even a few years ago that I listened to the record in full. And I appreciated it for what it is as a whole, piece of amazingness is how I would say. But my brother is a real big Paul Simon fan, so he was also instrumental in really getting me turned on to this type of music. And if he's listening right now, then he'll be proud of the selection that I chose.
Nice. Well, there were 4 singles from the record: "Homeward Bound," "The Dangling Conversation," the 59th Street Bridge song, "Feeling Groovy," in parentheses, and of course Scarborough Fair and "Canticle." But none of those are your favorite song on this record.
No, my favorites are actually Flowers Never Bend with the Rainfall and A Poem on the Underground Wall. I'm definitely a poet at heart. While I love my rock and roll and I love my, classic rock, I think I'm also a folky at heart. So the poetry in those two songs really speak to me, especially, now as a 25-year-old, I'm navigating, all these different things, and Flowers Never Bend with the Rainfall is a song that really hits me hard, so I hope it hits you too.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know that I've heard this record before. I didn't have it in my collection, and I think there's going to be a lot of surprises for me on this, and probably for the audience as well.
I think you're really going to dig it, Whit.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's Molly Weinberg. I think it's time we spin this first record.
Yes, I think that sounds like a great idea.
Right.
Enough suspense.
Yeah, let's get to it. This is a music show. Folks, I am your witness. This is the Sunday Night Vinyl Show, and you are jamming with the Hippie. Here we go. Side one of Simon & Garfunkel's Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme. And there you have it. Side one of Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme by Simon & Garfunkel. I am your witness, and you're listening to Sunday Night Vinyl on Hippie Radio 94.5. We've got Molly Weinberg in the studio, and we're listening to her record. Do you remember when you got this record?
When did I get it? Well, I've recently become really into vinyl, and I probably have close to 300 records now at my house. So nice. It's once you become a vinyl person, it's hard to go back. So I can't even remember where I picked up this copy. It's been a while. I think I got it maybe like 6 months ago or something.
Okay.
But I've been loving listening to records. It really is better than CDs, I think. Would you agree with me?
I like the vinyl.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I have found...
I've been converted.
I have found that I have about a 20-minute attention span. Like, by the end of a side, I'm ready to do something else. And if I listen to a CD, by the time 20 minutes comes around, I'm like, I need to do something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's part of the experience of getting up and, flipping it over, and it's just...
There's that. And, nobody loves, big, huge scratches and skips and stuff like that. But, a little pop here and there. It just kind of...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of like watching a fire burn in the distance. It's, a little pop crackle. It's okay.
It feels authentic when you have some grittiness to your record, I think.
Well, and of course, it's much warmer. The sound they've like said over and over, and I think people have come to realize that it's a warmer sound. So.
Definitely, it is.
Anyway, so we're having a lot of fun with this. I hope you guys are having fun out there in Radio Land. We're going to take a moment and let our sponsors, Hi-Fi Buys, talk a little bit about the cool stuff they've got going over there. Of course, that is where you want to go to become a guest here on Sunday Night Vinyl. You can either visit Hi-Fi Buys and fill out a form there, or you can go online at Hippie Radio 94.5. We do like records that fit the format, so... while certainly the 80s and the 50s and the 90s all had great records, that's really not what we do here. So think about it and come up with something. We got a lot of stuff we play on Hippie Radio. So if you're a listener, I think you can probably pick a record out of that.
Oh, yeah. There's no lack of great music from that era.
All right. So we'll be back in just a few minutes to play side two of Simon & Garfunkel's Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme. You are jamming with the Hippie. And we're back on Hippie Radio 94.5. I am your witness, and we're hanging out with Molly Weinberg. Now, this record that we're listening to, Simon & Garfunkel's Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme, has sold 3 million copies in the United States. It is 3-time platinum and was number 202 on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Albums of All Time. I'd be hard-pressed to pick 201 albums that are better than this one, but, just because of the hits that I know on it. But I like some of those other songs that we heard on there. There was some stuff I had not heard.
There was some new stuff for you, huh?
Before, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I'm really interested in this next side.
Yeah, with my favorites.
This has got your favorites on
Yep.
it. And songs that I'm not familiar with. Now, tell me, what can you tell me about Flowers Never Bend with the Rainfall? What does that song mean to you? You had mentioned it before as a favorite and said you kind of had a connection to it. So explain that a little further. Well,
it's really the lyrics that I relate to, in in addition to those beautiful melodies and harmonies and the way that Art and Paul's voice works together to create this masterpiece, I think. But when you listen to the lyrics, really hear them, and you'll get what I mean. I don't want to give too much of it away. Okay. But the lyrics, they touch me, and I hope they touch everyone that's listening as well.
So that's going to be track 2 on this side, and then there is one cover song on this record. You want to talk a little bit about that?
About Silent Night?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a surprise that it's on there, actually. I mean, it really fits into my whole idea that this is a wintry record, but when I was hearing this, I was like, oh, there's that Christmas song there. But what's really special about it is you can hear footage from the 7 o'clock news. So you have the song going, and then you have that footage, and together it really weaves these real moments listening to the music. So I think people will enjoy that cover, and it does kind of come out of. It surprises you that it's on there.
Right. Little left field.
Yeah.
Well, all right, folks. I think it's time to get back into the music. What do you think, Molly?
I totally agree. We can't keep them waiting.
I am your witness. That's Molly Weinberg. We are co-DJing here in the studio at Hippie Radio 94.5, and we're about to spin side 2. Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme here on Hippie Radio 94.5. Let's drop that needle.
Enjoy.
Wow. That is really intense.
It is. It's haunting, really. I find that last track just real mesmerizing.
You know the song, Silent Night.
Right.
But you get so drawn into the news report of the time.
Right.
And the, straight, cold, harsh delivery of Lenny Bruce, drug overdose, and then the nurses getting strangled, and the Vietnam War for another 5 years. You got Martin Luther King in there, and all of this is it's almost like opening up a time capsule.
It is. It was a turbulent time, and we're listening to that song, you can get tuned into that for a minute, and it really hits you. It does. It's the kind of the juxtaposition in that song is such a calming, winter, peaceful song. Mm-hmm. And the song is there the whole time. You can hear it. But I literally almost lost the song into the background because I was trying to hear what he was saying. Yep. Yeah.
And that was really intense piece of music.
It was. It's like those movies that do that too, like Pulp Fiction,
Sure.
It has some song going on, that's either a cute, happy-go-lucky kind of thing, with people getting murdered at the same time. And so it's that juxtaposition, like you said, real, yeah.
Well, Molly Weinberg, thank you so much for bringing in this record. This was a ton of fun to revisit.
I'm so glad you had me. I feel honored to come on your show. I really appreciate it. It's been a blast. I'm really glad you liked the record because I know some of that was new for you.
Yeah, it was. And I think this one we'll have to find a copy and add that to the collection.
Definitely.
I would like to revisit this one. For sure.
All right,
folks, that's it for Sunday Night Vinyl for this week. I am your witness with Molly Weinberg. We've been co-DJing this Simon and Garfunkel record and really enjoying it. Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme. Very nice.
Great. Thanks so much for having me. Have a great night, everyone.
Thanks so much to Molly. Thanks so much to Hi-Fi Bias. Thanks so much for our executive producer, Chris Lucky, and Brother Rob, who helps us put all this together. And thanks to Hippie Radio for letting us spend some time spinning vinyl.
Spinning vinyl is always where I want to be. So,
all right, folks, we're going to send you back to regular programming. Thanks so much for tuning in, and have a great night. You are listening to Hippie Radio 94.5.
Goodbye.